Good morning and welcome to World News here on TVP World. I'm your host, Diana Skaya. European Union ministers of defense are gathering in the capital of Poland for an informal summit. Among the key topics of the discussion in Warsaw will be the rearmament of EU member states and boosting the European defense industry. Now, the ministers' gathering at the Warsaw Citadel is set to focus on future support for Kyiv and the EU's role in securing a lasting peace in Ukraine. Now, the officials will also discuss an initiative by Kaja Kallas, which is meant to strengthen the Ukrainian army. The proposal involves sending Kyiv 2 million rounds of large-caliber ammunition worth some 5 billion euros by the end of the year. Now, aside from EU defense ministers, Ukraine's defense chief, Rustem Umerov, and NATO Deputy Secretary General Radmila Shekerinska will also be in attendance. The meeting itself will be led by the EU High Representative for Foreign Affairs, Kaja Kallas, and Polish Minister of Defense, Władysław Kosiniak-Kamysz. There is no mention of NATO in the mineral agreement with the United States, said Volodymyr Zelenskyy on Monday evening. During his brief statement, Zelenskyy added that a decision regarding the deal will be made in the coming days.
As for this agreement and NATO matters, NATO is not part of this agreement, nor has it ever been. Regarding EU matters and how we associate them with this agreement, it is clear that this agreement cannot contradict our efforts, aspirations, or firm intention for future membership in the European Union. Therefore, it is crucial that this agreement cannot be a separate document. Nothing should conflict with this. At this stage, I do not see any risks to discuss until the lawyers provide their resolution. This is the current format and stage of this document.
The EU has announced it's launching the Ukraine to EU program worth 16.7 million euros. Now, the flagship initiative aims to support Kyiv in its EU membership bid. The project's announcement was made at a conference called Ukraine's EU Membership, Not If, But When, which took place on Tuesday. The three-year program will provide strategic support to Ukrainian institutions and civil society involved in European integration efforts. Ukrainian Prime Minister Denis Shmyhal welcomed the launch, saying that it demonstrates that the European Union stands by Ukraine on its path towards their common future. Staying on Ukraine, Russia launched yet another drone attack on the country overnight, targeting multiple regions. One person was killed and dozens wounded. In Kharkiv, the Russian strike sparked fires that engulfed around 2,000 square meters of warehouse grounds and production facilities, damaging around 20 houses. 8 people sustained injuries. Zaporizhia was also the target of the overnight attack. One person was killed and 2 others wounded after a Russian drone hit cars in the region. The Polish government has completed negotiations on the design of the country's first nuclear power plant. The new facility will be located in Lubiatowo-Kopalino in northern Poland. The site has been cleared and awaits the start of construction works scheduled to begin in 2028. Now, the plant is scheduled to come online in 2036 and will be designed by American consortium Westinghouse Bechtel. Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk claimed his government negotiated terms that are more favorable than the initial contract that was signed in 2023. Polish President Andrzej Duda signed a law last week that released over 14 billion euros in government subsidies for the project. The government funding is still awaiting approval by the European Commission. With more news from Poland, following a government meeting on Tuesday, Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk issued a statement reiterating that, quote, Poland will intensify border controls with Slovakia, the Czech Republic, and Germany to prevent the transmission of foot and mouth disease to the country. Tusk stressed that transports from regions affected by the disease will not be allowed entry into Poland at all. Prime Minister also announced that the Minister of Agriculture, Czesław Siekierski, will lead a special preparedness unit to ensure that Poland is ready to tackle potential FMD outbreaks. Now, foot and mouth disease is a highly contagious and dangerous viral disease for animals. In the event of an outbreak, all animals on affected farms must be culled. The disease also attacks animals living in the wild. The last time FMD appeared in Czechoslovakia was in 1975, and in Poland, which is now considered a foot-mouth disease-free country, in 1971. 12 NATO countries are conducting joint naval exercises on the Romanian Black Sea coast. The drills include combating illegal activities, maritime and river control, search and rescue at sea, responses to distress calls, and ensuring critical infrastructure security.
This is an opportunity for us, the naval forces, to exercise together. We will practice combat scenarios.
We'll be here for approximately 6 months. Canada is extremely interested in the security of the Black Sea region. It's a pleasure for us to be able to operate with the Romanian Navy, to be part of this operation, to understand the environment, to understand the operational environment.
The German army has officially established a permanent brigade in Lithuania. Now, it's the first time the German soldiers will be permanently stationed outside of their own country since World War II. The first German soldiers of the 45th Brigade arrived in Lithuania last year, but only on Tuesday that their presence was acknowledged as part of a NATO mission. Now, the brigade is not yet battle-ready as it only consists of 500 soldiers. The goal is for it to grow to 5,000 troops and support personnel by 2027. The German presence in Lithuania will function as a deterrent against possible Russian aggression against the Baltic country. The soldiers will be based close to the border with Belarus. We believe that today's agreement will be followed by further rapprochement between Serbia and Hungary. This is what Serbian President Aleksandar Vučić said on Tuesday after a meeting with Hungarian Defense Minister Kristof Šalaj Bobrovnički in Belgrade. The agreement signed earlier in the day relates to defense cooperation, implementation of bilateral and multinational exercises, technology sharing, and arms acquisition.
We are confident that this agreement on joint activities will be followed by forging of further rapprochement and the creation of a military alliance between Serbia and Hungary. Of course, the Hungarian side, the Hungarian and Serbian parliaments, and everyone else will have a say in that, but our relations are so good, especially considering how and what is happening in Europe and the world. Our neighboring country Serbia is not in the EU, but we have consultations at the highest level. And also with this program, we contribute to the modernization of the army on the territory of Serbia. With this, we contribute to the further development of the excellent cooperation between the two countries. We are always in favor of preserving peace. Hungary is always for peace, and Serbia, as our ally, also supports this position. Our strategy for the previous 10 years has been to support the expansion of the EU to the Western Balkans and the accession of Serbia.
Moving on now to the South Caucasus, the Georgian parliament has replaced the much criticized foreign agents law that was modeled on a similar law in Russia used to crack down on non-governmental organizations. The new law, however, still requires organizations with foreign links to register with and report to Georgian authorities. Now, Parliament approved the law 1 day after protesters gathered in the capital of Tbilisi to show their anger towards the government's authoritarian style and pro-Kremlin policies. Lawmakers of the ruling Georgian Dream Party claim the new law is based on a U.S. law from 1938. According to reports from the French news agency AFP, however, experts say the government retains the tools to come down hard on organizations and individuals it disapproves of. Moving on now to France, emotions ran high in the French parliament during the debate about the Marine Le Pen conviction, a leader of the far-right National Rally. Now, the hopeful for the 2027 presidential elections is barred from holding public office for 5 years after a court found her guilty of embezzlement of European funds.
Here is a bunch of prosecutors and judges claiming to be above the law in order to exercise the establishment's vendetta against its only opponent, the National Rally, and against its main figurehead, Marine Le Pen. Tyrannies lock up their opponents, and now tyrant judges are killing the rule of law in public. It is beyond dispute, and it should not be disputed in these chambers, that judicial decisions should be supported and that judges should be protected when exercising their duties. And I affirm, on behalf of the government, that this is the case. You've said it, there is no free pass whatsoever in any law, and the judges are exercising their duties when they issue verdicts.
Marine Le Pen has appealed the decision. It is unclear, though, whether the appeal will be processed on time for the presidential campaign. U.S. President Donald Trump is expected to unveil a new set of reciprocal tariffs. The official announcement will come on Wednesday, and it is yet unclear which countries the tariffs will be levied against.
My understanding is that the tariff announcement will come tomorrow. They will be effective immediately. And the president has been teasing this for quite some time, as you know. He's talked a lot about April 2nd as Liberation Day in America. It would be taking place today if not for April Fool's Day.
Although representatives of Trump's administration seemed in high spirits, the sentiment was not shared by Democratic senators who criticized Donald Trump's attack on U.S. closest trading partner and neighbor, Canada.
Canada is a friend, not an adversary. Canada is a sovereign nation, not a 51st state. And while we always have challenges with friends, we have a mechanism that Donald Trump negotiated, the USMCA, that enables us to work through trade deals, and we don't need tariffs at all. The president has justified the imposition of these tariffs on, in my view, a made-up emergency.
Policymakers also highlighted that the group most affected by Trump's trade war will be domestic consumers.
Don't take my words about how much these tariffs are going to cost. Take the ever colorful Peter Navarro, who Trump's one of his trade people, says it will raise $100 billion off the car tariffs this year, $600 billion off the reciprocal tariffs, $700 billion tariff fees. Who's going to pay those? American consumers. This will be the largest tax increase on American consumers in modern times.
It is not yet known what the scope of Trump's tariffs will be. However, he has previously suggested that they could be applied to all countries that have trade relations with the U.S.
In a significant victory for Liberals, Judge Susan Crawford won the race for a seat on the Wisconsin State Supreme Court on Tuesday, despite a record $20 million in campaign spending from Elon Musk, who backed her conservative opponent, Brad Schimmel. Now, with about half of the votes counted, Crawford led Schimmel by 57% to 43%, and analysts are now predicting her victory. The race for the state's highest court garnered national attention, partly due to Musk's substantial involvement, which included offering $1 million checks and $20 for each vote referral in an effort to sway voters. Musk's involvement made this the most expensive judicial race in U.S. history, with total campaign spending surpassing $90 million. Now, President Trump also endorsed Schimmel. At his final rally in Green Bay, Musk emphasized the importance of the race, suggesting it would shape the future of Western civilization. Now, the Wisconsin Supreme Court plays a crucial role in redrawing district maps, which could influence future U.S. House elections. With this outcome, liberal justices will maintain their majority on the state's Supreme Court. And that's all for this edition of World News here on TVP World. I'm Diana Skye. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more news and features.